right. How are we doing, guys? Hope we are well, and I hope we had a great weekend. Welcome back to another episode of the Modern Man podcast. I'm not actually sure which one this is now. I know it's not that many, fifth potentially, but I cannot think right now off the top of my head of which one it is. So God knows when I get to the 100th or whatever. We shall see. If anyone's been watching the footy, if you are footy fans, I said on my story a minute ago, not a fan of how the Liverpool fans reacted to Trent leaving their club. And I said it's almost like, you know, he's a Scouse lad, grew up through the academy. It's one of their own. He decides to leave to excel and see different pastures, expand his ability, his football knowledge, and everyone's booing him, which is a bit shit, really. It's a bit like, you know, you grow up, you turn 18 or however old, you flee the nest, you go to uni, you go travelling. So they'll be like your parents fucking shunning you for wanting to go and expand yourself and flee the nest. So I don't know why I've started with that, but for full transparency, I didn't fully know what I was going to talk about today, so I've been writing some stuff down. There's a lot I can talk about. And so today I wanted to chat about something a little bit different, a little bit more mindset based. And I've titled the podcast, Are You Playing the Wrong Game? Because I believe a lot of us are. And a lot of us leave it or don't realise we're playing the wrong game until it's too late. And by that I mean, you know, we chase metrics that often give us a little bit of external validation. I know definitely as guys, myself, we are more drawn to status within social circles, and we are more driven by status. I think it's just a more male/masculine trait innately. You may disagree with me on that. Obviously, some guys have more feminine traits. I'm probably one of those. Often, a lot of females have more masculine traits as well. It's not just male versus female. We all have both, and some are expressed more than others, but I think status is definitely a more masculine trait, which is why, generally, guys chase these vanity metrics. More cash. The Lambo, the Ferrari, the mansion. All these things that look great on the outside. And then internally, does it lead to fulfillment? If you look at the data of, I mean, I can't speak from experience, but if you look at the data from people who have done that and their stories and what they say about it, they realise that, actually, it's not as great as I thought. I mean, there's a certain point, yes, where, and I did research on this a while back, so it's probably a bit different now, but what I remember is about 70,000, 75,000 US dollars, so about 30, 40, 50k. In pounds, and then any more than that, well-being doesn't actually increase anymore. And so once you've got your basic needs met, you've got a roof over your head, you can feed yourself, it's pretty much, you've got a good social circle, which is a little bit different than having, you know, the vanity metrics. That's something really important. But once you've got, you know, the basic needs met and enough cash for that, more cash doesn't mean more happiness. And there's a couple of stories I want to chat to you about. A client of mine who joined the Modern Man. His mental health wasn't in the best of places, and he'd worked super hard, built up his career in recruitment, engaged, beautiful fiance, bought what they thought was a dream house, got a dog, and they moved to this new house. And he was saying all it has done is created problems. Financially, created problems within the house, location, problems because it's a bit out of the way. And he just felt like, okay, we got to this point, got all these things that society kind of instills that is success, and wasn't happy. And so his mental health was not in the best spot. And he realised that maybe it's not attaining external things that is going to give us that long-lasting feel-good factor, that long-lasting happiness. Yes, I believe that it's both, and it always is both. The Buddha says it's the middle way. I believe him, wise man as he is. Because I think in the world these days, and especially with social media, there's so much polarity and polarization in ideations, thoughts, a lot of it because people believe it, a lot of it because people know that it gets reactions and it gets traction and it gets attention on social media, which it's an attention game, unfortunately, to a degree. Anyway, just got to play it. At the same time, we want to be true to ourselves and not lose ourselves in these junk values, I call them. And I think I heard that from, I believe it was a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, in that we follow these junk values when actually we need to get clear on our core values, the things that we really truly value in life. And I've got training inside the Modern Man, which I've done with the guys, which I can send over to you. More than happy to. Just give me a message, drop me the message value, and I'll send it over to you on Instagram or wherever, email. I don't mind. I just want to give value. That was my aim for starting this podcast. So yeah, if you want it, it's yours. And there's a really, really powerful parable, short little story about the Mexican Fisherman. I don't know, you may have heard of it, you may not have. If you haven't, I'll I'll try and remember it and try and portray it as well as when I read it, it hit me. And I've shared this with the guys in the programme. And I think it's just a really powerful way of getting you thinking about, okay, what really matters? Am I chasing the wrong things? And why am I chasing these things? And I think that's the big thing with it all is the awareness, is having that awareness of self. And a big pillar that we focus on in the Modern Man is knowing ourselves. Because how are we meant to achieve goals? How are we meant to really enjoy achieving our goals if we don't know the why? Why are we doing it for ourselves? So, might want to get absolutely peeled for summer. Speedos out by the pool, on the beach. I certainly do. The question is why? Why does that matter to you? And getting down to the core value of why. But yeah, I digress. The story of the Mexican fisherman just does really help to reframe the way you're thinking. And it's a bit of an inspiration to kind of slow down, reassess, get real about how you want to live your life and what you want in life. And so, the story goes a little bit like this. An American investment banker was at the pier of a small coastal Mexican village when a small boat with one Mexican fisherman, funnily enough, docked up. And in the boat there was several large fish, yellowfin tuna. The American complimented him on the quality of his fish. Yeah, mate, got some quality tuna right there. And then asked him how long it took to catch them all. And the Mexican replied, mate, only a little while. just a couple hours really. And then the American asked why he didn't stay out for longer to catch more. So Mexican replied. He said he'd had enough to support his family, their immediate needs, and a little bit extra. And so, yeah, the American said, oh wow, okay, that's cool. What do you do? What do you do with the rest of your time? And then the Mexican said, oh, well, I sleep in late, fish a little, play with my kids, take siestas with my wife, Maria, stroll into the village, evening where we sip on red wine, play guitar, have a good time with friends. And yeah, got a pretty full and busy life in that sense. And so the American businessman scoffed. He said, I'm a Harvard MBA and I could help you. You should spend more time fishing. And with the proceeds, buy a bigger boat. With the proceeds from the bigger boat, you could buy several boats. Eventually, you'd have a fleet of fishing boats. Instead of, selling your catch to the middleman, you would sell directly to the processor, eventually opening your own cannery. So you can have your own John West empire. I don't know, if anyone's not watching this in the UK, if you have John West in other countries in the world, but it's the classic tin tuna here. Instead of, you'd control the product, you'd control the processing and distribution. You'd need to leave this small coastal fishing village and move to Mexico City, then LA, eventually New York City, where you will run your expanding empire, John West lookalike enterprise. And then the Mexican was like, oh, cool, right, but how long's that going to take? Not sure. 15, 20 years potentially. But then what? Asked the American. Not the American, the Mexican. The American laughed and said, well, that's the best part. When the time is right, you would announce an IPO, sell your company stock to the public, and then it would make you very, very, very rich. You'd make absolute millions. Millions. Cool, then what? Said the fisherman. The American said, then you'd retire, mate. Move to a small coastal fishing village where you'd sleep late, fish a little, play with your kids, take siestas with your wife, stroll to the village in the evenings where you'd sip wine, play guitar with your mates. But I already do that. Said the Mexican fisherman. He already lives a life true to his values. And I'm not saying that, chasing millions and building businesses is not a valuable thing. It's fucking incredible because businesses are there to solve problems and they solve many, 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 many people's problems. But if it is solely to make millions for the purpose of making millions, I'd argue to question that. Why do you want to make millions? From a place of fear, from a place of insecurity, or from a place of abundance and service and helping? And that's what I wanted to talk about, to get you thinking. So I want you to have more. I want you to have a fucking fantastic life. Those of you listening. Enough cash to live, enjoy, plus whatever, how much you want, but without wrecking yourself in the process. Which is why I think knowing your values is crucial. What you stand for, how you want your life to look, who you want to spend your time with. And there's always going to be things that you don't like, there's always going to be push, there's always going to be pull within these things, we can't have things all sunshine and rainbows all the time. That would be naive and unrealistic. But I think getting clear on that and let that dictate your decisions, your actions, your thoughts. Because I believe junk values don't bring you lasting happiness. Very, very fleeting at the most. And so, it's a random analogy that popped into my head. Chasing chasing the wrong metrics is a bit like constantly swiping on Hinge when you're actually gay, so you should be on Grindr. You're never going to be satisfied, you're never going to be fulfilled because you're barking up the wrong tree. Hope that analogy helped to a degree. But yeah, going back to Joe, he really chased the career, money. He was earning a lot of cash at one point. And then he realised, actually, I'm chasing the wrong metrics here. I want to be healthy, which I'm not. I want to be present. I want to be a great husband, partner, dad. And so that's what today was about, just 15 minutes of getting you thinking about what is really important to you. What is your rich life? I've heard it be called before. So what actually is success to you and for you? Because so often our minds have been warped by society, social media, what has been instilled into us of what success looks like, means, is, by parents, teachers, news outlets, social media, politicians. Less so politicians. I don't know where that came from. And so yeah, having those little periods of reflection is powerful. Very, very powerful. And so yeah, I urge you to use this and use a bit of time now. You're driving, you've got a minute, grab a pen and paper and write down what is important to you and why. Keep asking yourself that question. And if you listen this far, guys, I am going to be opening up some spaces soon. If you're interested, give me a shout. We can have a chat. And we can put you top on the priority list for when these spaces open up. And I'll be chatting more about what the spaces are for soon, because bringing something new out, a little more directed towards running, I suppose, because that's something that I love and something that I've been really working hard on over the past few years, and something that I see a lot of guys want to do. So run and lift and stay level-headed at the same time. So, over and out. You know where I am. Give me a shout if you need anything. DM me value if you want that training, and if you also want to be on that priority list. So, much love, guys. Catch you soon. Peace.